one of the most pleasant surprise movies that kind of came out of nowhere and shocked everyone, and it's hard to remember this now because it's been a few years, but was John Wick. A lot of people forget that Keanu Reeves was a star for a while, disappeared, and then The Matrix came out, so he had this big Reeves-assance, came back, but then he disappeared again. And he was doing a lot of nothing movies nobody cared about, and then he had this new little action gun movie coming out called John Wick that nobody really appeared to think about, and then 1 month before John Wick came out, they released the first trailer. Just 1 month before the movie came out. And all of a sudden, everybody started talking about John Wick. And it went on to become a modest success. Well, now they've got the fourth movie, and while it opened to a franchise biggest opening, this past week, it has now officially crossed John Wick 3 Parabellum as being the highest grossing. And on top of that, it has now officially crossed the $400 million mark. Yay. And that is significant. Now, listen, I get it. In the world of blockbusters, you may hear $400 million and think, well, that actually isn't all that much. Granted. But this was a small indie spirit kind of movie made on a, by Hollywood standards, modest budgets, and is heavy R-rated action. So not the whole family can go. And this has been one of those franchises, we've talked about it a bunch recently, that has just had this constant trajectory of success. Take a look at this. So like the first John Wick movie, again, it was just a modest little success. Nobody thought this movie could get near $100 million, that first one, but it made $86 million. Then the second one, that shows you how good and how well received the first one was, took a big jump up, more than doubled, to $171 million. And then it almost doubled again in John Wick 3 to $327 million. And as of right now, John Wick Chapter 4 is sitting at $402 million. There's two asterisks there because it's still counting. I mean, it's not going to make a shit ton more, but it's going to continue to make some more money. This is a franchise that has just continued to climb. And I think it's because right from the very first John Wick movie, that one that made $86 million, it became apparent that they fully understood what their movie was and who they were targeting it at. These movies are not made for everybody. Hence, none of them have made $700 million or $800 million or come anywhere close to $1 billion mark, but they understood what the DNA of their movies were. And they said, our audience for this is out there. Instead of trying to change the John Wick film to start to maybe bring in a wider range of audiences, they said, you know what? We know who our audience is. And we know it's not the biggest audience in the world, but we believe there's more of them out there. And if we continue to make these movies with our John Wick DNA and we continue to do them well, people will continue coming into the theaters for them. And sure enough, film after film after film, now culminating in John Wick, which has passed the $400 million mark, or as we like to call it around here, the Black Adam mark. It did what Black Adam was not able to do. It has done what Black Adam was not able to do, which is make the $400 million mark. And Jonathan, you can bring that headline up again, which is why, I mean, if you've seen John Wick 4, you know that, oh, well, that's probably it for the franchise. That's probably it. Well, when you got a franchise that every single movie continues to make more, and in many cases significantly more, than the previous installments, well, all of a sudden what you thought might have been your conclusion to your story may not exactly be your conclusion for the story. As you know, Hollywood Reporter and other major trades are saying like John Wick 5 is possibly back on the table when your fourth installment, think about this. The fourth installment of your movie has literally made more than 4 times what the first movie did. And depending on who you ask, is the best of the bunch. I personally think John Wick 4 is the best of the John Wick movies, but you know, that's just me. Anyway, Chris, we're looking at this now. John Wick 4 has hit this really impressive milestone for a franchise like this. Every single film outdoing the previous one. What has been the key, do you think, to the success of the John Wick franchise? Like, why is this one that has not only not dropped in quality, but continued to make more money than its predecessors as it goes, when a lot of even very good franchises are never able to do that? What do you attribute that to?
I mean, it's a universe that continually builds upon itself. It yes-ands everything that it's done, and it makes things so much richer each time you go back in there. I do have to say I haven't seen the fourth one yet. It did get spoiled for me in my Uber to the casino from the airport.
Oh, no.
Where it was, you know what movie I didn't like recently? And let me tell you why. And immediately gave me that big ol' spoiler. I went, oh, that happens. He's, no, I'm so sorry. Please don't rate me poorly. I didn't. But I think one of the best things about this franchise is that it continues to build on itself. It has such a rich mythology tied into it that makes sense. This underworld makes sense. They have a system in place, a financial system, a tiered system that makes sense. I really, really think Keanu Reeves just crushes it in this role, too. I feel like we all just really love this guy, and we love seeing him things, whether he's showing up in an Ali Wong project or he's showing up in John Wick. He's just very likable, even when he's murdering people. And it's all for a dog. We all can relate to this. You can have him do anything, because that first movie justifies all of his actions from here on out. It's one of those things where you can get behind the wild, ridiculous violence because it's okay, well, this is a heightened reality, but two, gosh, fuck those people who killed his dog. That was messed up. Right. You know, I think it's just something too where the action sequences are so well executed. I mean, even though some things happen that probably wouldn't in real life, they really, really commit to a sense of realism in them. And again, it commits to the world that it exists in, where you just buy into everything that's happening in a way that some other franchises sometimes struggle, where you see things that defy physics or defy the laws of man and go, that wouldn't happen, and I can't suspend my disbelief enough. In this universe, you really, really can. And you just like to see Keanu do well. What a nice boy. I love him. Oh.
By the way, side note, we're talking about the dog being. I'm a dog person. Everybody knows this. Mm-hmm. I just a little quick note. Won't say any context whatsoever. There's a scene with a dog in the upcoming Flash movie that really good. That's all I'm going to say. There's a scene with a dog that I think you're really going to enjoy. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? John Wick has now had its first film in its franchise cross the $400 million mark. It's the biggest of the franchise now. What do you attribute that to? Why do you think this thing has been able to have that kind of prolonged success? Do you think, as the major trades are speculating, that this might motivate Lionsgate to come back to the well again for John Wick 5? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's show, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. When the spring sunshine is calling your name, don't call for takeout. Get HelloFresh instead. Their quick and easy meals make feeding the family and yourself a cinch, and without the high price tag. Their new fast and fresh options are ready in just 15 minutes or less. And guys, don't worry about it if you're not exactly a pro in the kitchen. HelloFresh's foolproof recipes arrive pre-portioned and easy to prepare in just a few steps. You guys know Ann and I have been using HelloFresh for a long time now, and we absolutely love it. Both of us being working professionals, it's often difficult for us to find time to make dinner together. But with HelloFresh, it's easy, it's fun, and it's absolutely delicious. So go to HelloFresh.com/Campea16 and use the code Campea16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea16 using the promo code for 16 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.